In this video, I'm going to show you how to solve a quadratic equation with complex roots. One way to solve this quadratic equation is to just do it directly. Let's go ahead and isolate x squared, and then we'll take the square root. So subtracting 8 to the other side, we get 2x squared equals negative 8, and then dividing by 2, we get x squared equals negative 4. Then we can take the square root of both sides and get x equals plus or minus square root of negative 4. And then to simplify this square root using complex numbers, we can write x as plus or minus root 4 times root negative 1. And then root 4 is just 2, and root negative 1 is I. So that's our solution. X equals plus or minus 2i. Another option for solving quadratic equations with complex roots is to use completing the square. So to complete the square on this equation here, we can start by breaking our 6x term into 2 times 3x. And now to create a perfect square on this side, we can add 3 squared to both sides. So we've got 2 times 3x, and then we'll add 3 squared to both sides. So negative 25 plus 3 squared on this side also. And then we can go ahead and factor this side into the perfect square that we've created. X plus 3, the whole quantity squared, and that's equal to negative 25 plus 3 squared is 9. So let's go ahead and simplify that right hand side. So we get x plus 3 squared equals negative 16, and we can go ahead and take the square root, get x plus 3 equals plus or minus root of negative 16, and we can write that root negative 16 as root of positive 16 times root of negative 1, and then to convert into imaginary numbers on the right hand side, that becomes plus or minus root of 16 is 4 and root of negative 1 is I. So now we just subtract 3 to get x alone, so x equals negative 3 plus or minus 4i. And that is our solution. That's our complex roots of this quadratic equation. For our last example, we'll solve this equation using the quadratic formula. So x equals negative b is 4 plus or minus square root of b squared, so 4 squared, then minus 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is 3. And that's all over 2a, so 2 times 2. And we'll go ahead and simplify. So x equals negative 4 plus or minus root of 16 minus 4 times 2 is 8 times 3 is 24. And that's all over 2 times 2, which is 4. So x equals negative 4 plus or minus root negative 8 over 4. Let's simplify this square root a little bit using the imaginary unit. So x equals negative 4 plus or minus root 8 times root negative 1 over 4. And that means x equals negative 4 plus or minus root 8 simplifies to 2 root 2, and root negative 1 is the imaginary unit I. That's all over 4. And for our finishing touch, we can just split up the fraction over 4. So x equals negative 4 over 4, which is negative 1, plus or minus 2 root 2i over 4. So that's like root 2 over 2 times I. And then that's our final solution. These are the complex roots of that quadratic equation. In the future, we'll keep learning more about complex numbers and how they relate to quadratic equations.